Hey, Who fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And this is episode 397.
Yeah.
Welcome to another episode, everybody. I hope you've had a cracking couple of weeks and that you've all managed to do something Doctor Who related.
Way
too slow.
Way too slow there.
Got to be quicker than that, dude.
I'll blame the jet lag, mate. I'm blaming the jet lag on that for that one.
Oh, are you? Yeah.
All
right then. How many cups of tea have you had this morning?
Oh, about 10.
You should be. Yeah, you should be fine.
I love my cup of tea, mate. If I don't have my cup of tea in the morning, I just don't get going, and I'm like, don't come near me if I haven't had a cup of tea.
I know it's cliched. If you're listening to this and you're a UK British listener, then you'll know the deal here. Mm-hmm. Must have several cups of tea in the morning. I think our US friends are more inclined to some coffee. I think
they have their coffee, mate. Their coffee. Do you want a coffee?
Coffee. Do you know what? I've
do you have a British breakfast tea? A what? You got coffee. Oh.
Yeah. Do you know what? The only thing I say the only thing. One of the cool things I like when I'm in the US or North America is they quite often have honey to put in their tea, and I quite like honey in tea now and then. It's quite nice. You don't really get that here in the UK. It's either sugar or nothing. But in the US,
right, yeah.
In the US, it's
10 lumps or 2.
It's like a proper sugar lump with little sugar lump tweezer things. But in the US, you get sweeteners, you get low calorie things, you get sugar if you want, you have honey. Also, it's very cool. Yeah, I don't mind it. Yeah. But
do you want me to throw it back in your face? Just offer me an Earl Grey. That's guaranteed to.
Oh dear.
Ugh. That's like drinking ash, isn't it? Earl Grey tea.
It's not. My wife really likes Earl Grey tea. She's partial.
Really?
To I've never understood it myself. I'm not casting any shade to anyone that likes Earl Grey tea. You do you and crack on, but it's not my cup of tea. Excuse the pun. Yeah. But our caffeinated drinks aside, welcome to another episode, everybody. As we said, hope you've had a good one in the run up to the new era of Doctor Who officially, properly starting. Well, I know we've had the Christmas special and that's all good, but we're recording this on Friday the 10th of May, and it is tonight, in fact, that the new stuff kicks off. So here in the UK, we'll have it at midnight, and then in other territories, you'll get that whenever you get that. I can't remember what's going down on Disney Plus in certain countries, but yeah, here in the UK, midnight, and then if you don't want to stay up till midnight, you can catch it on iPlayer anytime after that. And then on the usual BBC One terrestrial stuff, that will go out. I think it's like 6 o'clock or something like that, the usual slot.
It's around then.
On a Saturday, yeah. But this episode is going to be just a bit of a chat, really, around the sort of build-up that we've had for this new kind of soft reboot, especially in terms of namesake for Season 1. The stuff that we've had so far with trailers and the Christmas special, and then some things that we're looking forward to, and then a bit of a round out about what we're feeling this new season's going to deliver. So that's going to be good. Before we crack on with all that, though, dude, I know you've been out and about and travelling and back and flying and roundabout. So are you doing all? Have you done anything Doctor Who related? I know that when you got back to the UK, there was a very cool picture that you put on the social. You had a bit of a Doctor Who crate of goodies waiting for you, so that was cool.
Yeah, some nice bits waiting for me that had arrived in the post. So the first thing I opened was the season 15 box set. That was the one I just couldn't wait to get back.
Oh, nice.
And just check it was safe, because it went missing while I was out in America. I was really doing my nut. Because I ordered mine from HMV and they track it, so it's delivered by Royal Mail, but you can track it. And I was just watching it go all over the country, like trying to find its way back to where it's supposed to be delivered. And so I was getting a bit stressy about that. And then when it finally did come back, for some reason my mum took the parcel to my sister's, and I just had visions of it like having getting dropped on the floor and having cups of tea put on it. Oh, there's Adam's parcel, don't forget to take that over to. So I was just wondering what state it was going to be in when I finally opened it, but it was fine. So that's all good. That was the first thing I did when I got in. About 1 million back issues of Doctor Who magazine to get through, so I'd missed 3 months of that. What else did I have? Yeah, Skaro Dalek set was waiting for me, which is really cool. I had the Daleks in colour steel book, which is very nice.
Sweet.
So yeah, I had some good goodies waiting for me when I got back. I've been back just over a week actually. I'm still sort of trying to get back into the swing of things, so I haven't really had a lot of chance to catch up with actually watching or reading any of this stuff. But yeah, it's nice to come back to that. Made it feel, I love coming back to my collection. One of the things I love when I come home is I sort of have my figures and everything all on a shelf upstairs next to me, a bit like you. So we're filming now, listener. Gary's got all his Star Wars and Batman and Doctor Who stuff on a big shelf behind him where I can see, and it's like a comfort thing, isn't it, mate, to have it surrounding you. So yeah, that was pretty cool. I'm just wondering, are you actually going to stay up until midnight? Because one of the things I'm thinking is I still haven't got back into the UK time zone properly. I'm still sort of awake at like 2 a.m, and I wake up at sort of 9-10 o'clock in the morning. So I haven't quite got back on track yet, but if I'm awake, I'll probably watch one at midnight. But I'm not going to purposely stay up to midnight to watch it, if you see what I mean. But I think there's a good chance I'll still be awake. So I may well watch one at midnight. But how about you, mate? Are you staying up, or are you just going to watch it when you get up in the morning?
I'm not sure. Initially, I thought I was going to stay up for at least the first week. Just to join in.
Okay, to watch too.
Yeah, just to join in the... not that it makes any difference. Nobody's going to care that anyone else is up, watching it. So... I'm not sure. I think I'll see how I feel later. If it gets to like 11 o'clock and I'm yawning my head off, then I might just catch it in the morning over breakfast. But I will aim tentatively to stay up, and watch them. But we'll see how I feel later.
See, I'm a night owl, mate. As you know from how bad I am at getting up in the mornings to record this podcast. I'm awake all night, asleep all morning. I'm really, so it will be no problem for me to stay awake. It's just that I've got a really busy day on Saturday and I don't want to be tired. So I'm thinking I probably should go to bed. Yeah. But, I could quite easily stay up and watch it. I'm normally awake at that time anyway. So, well, I know I won't be able to just watch one. That's the thing. If I watch the first one, I know I'm going to watch the second one.
You'll be in, yep.
So it'll be 2 o'clock in the morning, yeah.
It's a similar thing for me. Me and wifey have got a thing on Saturday night, and I know if I stay up tonight and watch all that stuff, then I'll just be wrecked. It'll be like 9 o'clock. I'll be like, oh, are we going to go home then? And she'll be like, oh, God's sake. So, yeah
same.
I don't know. It's fun, though, to not have a definite decision on it, We'll just play it by ear.
I'm hoping, because I'm going to see some friends on Saturday, and the plan is so he's got a projector. So last time with the first Tenant special, I went to theirs and we watched Starbeast on his projector. Now I think the rough plan tomorrow for me is to meet up with them, and then we're going to go back and watch them when they're on the TV at like 6 o'clock on this projector, and then watch Eurovision. But that could go out the window. I know that could go out the window because it's on the iPlayer. They may have already watched it. I may have already watched it. But also, I'm meeting them at a sort of a, what do they call it? Not a festival. It's like a, like a food and drink sort of event that's going on, and
yeah.
So there's a good chance, in other words, that we'll just start having a few drinks and be like, oh, it's, it starts in 10 minutes, but we're an hour away from home. Should we just stay and have a few more drinks and watch it when we get back? And so I really don't know when I'm going to get to watch it, which is the other reason I'm slightly tempted to stay up and watch it at midnight, so that I've got it watched and I can just relax. And if we don't get back in time, I don't know. We'll see. I'll let you know next week when we record of like where I ended up actually seeing it.
Yeah. It's fun times though. I mean, I know a lot of people have complained about this sort of thing. I know when the BBC and Russell first announced that it was going to be broadcast in this way, I remember Twitter just exploding with lots and lots of entitled people claiming that their show shouldn't be broadcast at that time and it should be only on BBC One at, you know, a set time on Saturday evenings and stuff. But, you know, in you know, thinking about it, it's really cool to have this option of how you want to watch Doctor Who. The only thing that people were saying that, you know, could be potentially a bit annoying is having to stay off socials if you don't want to watch it at midnight. So a lot of people, what they do is in the mornings they'll grab their phone and they'll go through all that stuff. So you'll just have to find some restraint, I guess, and stay off that until you do watch it. But, you know, I guess that's just called being an adult, mate. and just doing that stuff. You know, if you cannot find a few hours to not be on Twitter, if you find that too difficult, then, you know, we can direct you to another few podcasts that deal with that stuff, you know, therapy style podcasts to help you through that. But yeah, I think it's cool, mate. I think it's a nice shake up and a cool thing, you know, because don't get me wrong, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the old style traditional TV way of doing that, where it just goes out at 6 or 7, whatever time it was on a Saturday, and everyone collectively does that. It's absolutely cool, you know, it's all good. But as Russell did state recently, you know, TV is changing. The way that people consume stuff is, well, it's already changed. And Russell was saying that we're in the thick of it and we're doing it now. So it's you either go full steam ahead and full hog with it. I mean, we'll get onto our chat proper on this, but you in my opinion, you either go full steam ahead and you do the proper, you know, multi-country, international, proper streaming jobby, as well as terrestrial stuff, or you don't. You just don't do it. So otherwise, it's just a half-hearted. You know, like, so I've said this so many times, dude. You know, every year it seems like Doctor Who. Back in the day, I think the producers and the makers and everybody always complained that they had no money for Who. And these days, it feels like with every series that goes past, it gets a little bit more money. I don't know if that's the case or not.
Feels like it, yeah.
There might be somebody at BBC Studios or Bad Wolf or whoever that are like, you're taking a beep, Gary, because we don't get any. But it feels like every year or every series, like cinematically, it looks better. You know, it just feels grander. It goes up a notch, each one. And so when we get to this sort of thing, where we've got a bit of Disney money thrown in here now as well, it feels like you're more on track to start competing with the big players across those big streaming services, you know? Yeah, even things like the big ones like Stranger Things and some of those things, Game of Thrones, all of these really big successful TV. I'm not saying that Doctor Who is not successful, of course, but I just think if you're going to go all in and try and compete and get your show on there, then you've got to be with the way that those people do things as well, you know? It can't be a case of, you know, this is our precious little British TV show and we want it just the way it is for the next 60 years. Unfortunately, I just don't think it can survive like that, you know? I think it has to move where the direction of media is going and with these other big players. Otherwise, it's a case of, did you see Doctor Who the other night? Well, no, because I don't live in the UK and I have to wait for it to come on to, you know, BBC America or whatever it is and watch it too. It just doesn't, it's not going to work like that. Not when you have these really big successful shows that are dropping, you know, their stuff for the whole world to see, you know, almost simultaneously. Doctor Who has got to be, and I'm only saying this if it wants to compete with those in terms of like viewing figures and, you know, grabbing audience numbers and all that stuff, which seemingly it does look that it wants to do that. So yeah.
I was going to say, I mean, if I was still in the US, I'd be watching it at 7:00 on a Friday night, which is quite bizarre to think of, you know. I was going to ask you, because I don't have Disney Plus in the UK, I was going to ask you if Doctor Who was on it, but actually that's just the American one, isn't it? Then it's not on Disney Plus over here, is it? It's like
No.
iPlayer here. Yeah, it's funny with the whole midnight thing, mate. I do hear what you're saying. I think when they first said that, I was a bit like, what the hell? I've come around a little bit because I'm sort of thinking, so, you know, like I was just saying about this Saturday, and I don't know if I'll get a chance to watch it go out live because I'm going to be with my friends and blah, blah. I'm sort of thinking, yeah, in a way, it's sort of opened up my options because I can, it's like giving it me early in a way. So I've sort of come around to it a little bit, you know. I think when they first said about the midnight thing, I just thought it takes away the event TV thing. It's like everyone gathering around the TV at 6 o'clock, Doctor Who's on, which you can still do, but it's kind of like, yeah, but it's been on iPlayer for like hours, you know. So it was that kind of losing it sort of in that sense feeling. But like you said, I mean, things change. Sometimes we fear change, but things have to change, you know. I mean, if you go back to, you know, the days when we didn't have iPlayer, mate. Imagine that if you miss something live, because I don't know, I guess you're old enough to remember, right? Because I am. If you missed something live, there was no such thing as iPlayer. You missed it. And then maybe you were lucky. Maybe you set the video recorder, the VHS. Maybe you managed to work out the timer on it to record it. But if you didn't, and or if the program started late and it recorded half of, you know, Barbara Woodhouse, it's like, you know, so things. So we are quite lucky, really. We have things at the touch of a button on demand to watch when and as we like. I mean, you could go back further to when, you know, you had to wait for a DVD release, a VHS release to come out. So like the old classic Doctor Who's, I can remember there were stories I'd never seen before because, you know, they'd never been sort of repeated or whatever. And they were slowly, the BBC were releasing them on VHS, and the excitement of going into, you know, a video shop to get a Doctor Who episode I'd never seen before. So we're quite lucky in a way. So yeah, the midnight thing, I can understand where you're coming from. I'm still a little bit, the court's out for me on that one, but I do have to appreciate times change, and, you know, which would I rather have? Doctor Who at the touch of a button to watch whenever I want, or not have it at all, you know? So yeah, I've come around to that a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm quite excited the more I think about it. It's brought the series a bit closer. You know, I keep thinking to myself, Doctor Who's on at midnight tonight. You know, rather than thinking, 6 o'clock tomorrow, Doctor Who's on, it has brought it that little bit closer to me. So, yeah, just a little bit more excited about that.
Yeah. So whichever camp you fall into, whether you think this is cool or not, you know, I think these days it just doesn't really matter. That's the crux of it. It really doesn't matter because, you know, it's weird to say this on a if you do a podcast about a certain thing that you love, which we do here, it's weird to say, but putting everything into context, it is a TV show, right? It's not like, you know, it's not like there's a big event thing that's going on, like aliens have contacted us, and on Saturday at 6 p.m, that's when touchdown will happen, and they've invited NASA and all the world's governments to come and greet them as they land on Earth and stuff. That's the sort of thing where you're like, beep, you know. That's a sort of event sort of thing that needs to happen that we all need to watch. Whereas this is a TV show, you know, it doesn't really matter if you catch it at midnight or whenever. Just enjoy it whenever you want. And I think that's the crux of it. It really doesn't matter when it goes out, as long as we have a new series of Doctor Who, right? Like you said, it would be better to do this rather than, because imagine if Bad Wolf or the BBC hadn't have negotiated anything with Disney Plus or with Netflix or anybody, we'd still be complaining about the same old things that we did the last 5-6 years, you know? Still be the same thing. Everybody would be complaining. Oh, God, it's going out at 5:45. This is absolutely terrible and rubbish. I don't normally have my dinner until at least 6:30. So gone are the days where I can sit down with my dinner on my lap and enjoy Doctor Who. Oh, my God, they've absolutely ruined my Saturday now. You know? It'd still be the same old complaints and the same old thing, so it doesn't matter.
Are you more excited for one episode than the other? Are you out of Space Babies and Devil's Cord? Which one are you more excited for, or are you just looking forward to both? Because I'm just going to say I think I'm slightly being drawn towards Devil's Cord because the music thing, the Beatles, Abbey Road. I don't know. It seems to have had more promotion, which I find weird. That the second episode's had much more sort of interest and promotion than the sort of series opener, which slightly worries me about Space Babies, because I feel like I'm going into that one with slightly lower expectations, because it seems to be concentrating much more on the Devil's Chord, but because of the music thing, and obviously I love anything really to do with music, and I also like the Beatles. So I'm looking I think I'm slightly looking forward to that one more, but obviously I'm looking forward to both. But if they were like, you can only watch one at midnight, which one do you want to watch? I think I'd probably go Devil's Chord. What about you, mate, though?
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. I think usually, I can't speak for this season, of course, but typically the first episode, unless you're lucky enough to have someone like Matt Smith or whatever, I think the first episode is normally the kind of the warm-up into the season, if you know what I mean. And I know that Shooty's already given us one episode already with the Church on Ruby Road, which is, you could consider that the warm-up, I guess, into it. But I don't know, I think the Space Babies one is going to be more light-hearted and quirky, even though it sounds like anyway it's going to have a bit of a darker undertone in some respects, because there's a character called the Bogeyman and some other bits, so I think, I don't know, that one seems a bit more quirky and whatnot. The Devil's Chord one, though, I think is going to provide a little bit more substance to things, if that makes sense. When we were going through the specials and we got to not the Star Beast, what was the second one?
The Wild Blue Yonder.
Yeah, that was one of those episodes where it was like, visually stunning, a very quirky, pretty cool episode of Doctor Who, but it didn't really have much in the way of substance, did it? It didn't really. There wasn't much there,
not really,
outside of just those two being trapped on a spaceship, but which is kind of cool. But I get the feeling that the Space Babies episode is going to be a little bit like that, where I don't think it's going to provide a huge amount of substance or anything like that. I think it's going to be more just sort of a warm up. So for that reason, I'm more into and looking forward to the Devil's Chord, the second episode. But that's not to say that we shouldn't discount that first one. It could be an absolute belter, dude. We could look back on this first season and be like, it went downhill, didn't it, after the Space Baby? So you never know, dude. But an interesting title, though. And when we look through the list of titles for this, and I must say that one of our writers, Harry, did a really good rundown on this first season and a lot of these episode titles and whatnot. So you head over to Big Blue Box Podcast at co.uk. You'll see that it's called Looking Forward to Season 1, and Harry's done a really cool little rundown on this, and he mentions a few times about what some of these titles might mean and so on. And some of them are very on the nose and very direct and obvious, like The Legend of Ruby Sunday, and that sort of thing. And some of them are really abstract and whatever. So do you feel like that with these two? So Space Babies is obviously, we're guessing anyway, sort of centered around a baby farm run by babies, which sounds very, very weird. But the other one, The Devil's Chord, obviously the whole thing is going to be music-based stuff. But do you think there's going to be more to it than that?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is going to be sort of you think it's about one thing, but actually it's about something completely the other. I mean, I think Russell tends to open every series with something very fun, very light-hearted. It's, generally his episode one of his, of a new series with Russell is normally just something to ease the viewer in before he gets stuck into the big stuff. So that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting Space Babies to be not sort of throwaway, but just a nice, fun episode to ease in new viewers who may not have watched Doctor Who before, but have enough in there for for long-time fans, but just an easy watch, nothing too taxing on the brain, a nice simple story. That's what I'm expecting it to be. Whereas Devil's Court, I'm hoping is going to go a little bit more darker and start getting into, the Doctor and Ruby, we've got to know them a little bit now, and now they're getting into some adventures and stuff. So that's what I'm expecting. I read Harry's article last night, actually, just to sort of give myself a heads up for what we'd be talking about today. Great stuff from him. So do go and read his article and his sort of thoughts on what we can expect from Series 1. But I have got to say, we really need to get Harry to send us a new photo, because he looks about 12 years old in the picture we've got on our website. We need it, because Harry's grown since he joined us. He's like a young man now, isn't he? I don't know how old Harry is, but he certainly looks a lot older than he does in our picture, bless him. So we need to get a new picture from Harry, I think. And for us, our pictures on the website, actually, you can keep ours, because I'd probably look much more haggard than I do on our website. But we need a new picture for Harry. But that's what I'm expecting, mate. A very sort of simple, easy episode for one. Then I reckon episode 2 will start getting a bit more into more I don't know, more meaty Doctor Who, if you like.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And what's your take on the writing for this? We'll get on to some of the other episode titles in a second, but Russell T Davies is writing a lot of this first season for Shooty, right? So he's writing the first 3 episodes, sorry. Actually, no, he's writing the first 2, and then we got the Moth Bag back for the 3rd episode.
Yeah.
Then he's writing episodes 4 and 5, which I think is going to be a 2-parter by the look of it.
Is it? Oh, okay. Didn't know that.
And then a couple of guest writers for episode 6, and then he's back to write the 2-parter. Oh no, it's not a 2-parter. Sorry, that middle bit, but the finale, episodes 7 and 8, he's back to write those 2 as well. So. Good thing, do you reckon, for him to take the reins a bit and do that? Is in contrast to the last couple of seasons we've had with Chris Chibnall, where he was more kind of hands-off in writing each individual episode. I know he did write some of them, but there was a lot more guest writers for those ones. But so, I don't know. If this is a good thing or not, I guess time will tell when we get to the end of this season. But yeah, Russell's definitely writing a lot more for this one. Yeah,
I think it depends what he had in mind when he decided to come back. If he had sort of like a story arc or something that he feels like, right, can't wait to write this. I get the feeling there's going to be an arc around Ruby because of the fact that she sort of is gone for Series 2 but is actually going to be in Series 2, and I don't know, there's definitely going to be something about Ruby and the whole being found as a baby mystery and stuff. So it depends. If Russell's got this plan that he wanted to tell over a few stories, I think it could work well if he's written the majority of Series 1, because obviously Series 2 we already know that there's a lot more writers involved. But I guess the only downside to that is, one, Russell has a certain style of writing. So it does have the danger of the episodes feeling a bit samey, whereas if you get in different writers, they do bring their own style to it, so it makes it a little bit more unpredictable in what sort of episode you're going to get. So that's the only thing I would say, and I just hope he isn't stretching himself too much, because Russell is a good writer, and as much as we enjoyed the specials overall, they weren't quite top notch, I wouldn't say. They're not quite up to the standard. Russell's written a lot better for Doctor Who in the past. So I hope he isn't stretching himself too much by writing the majority of Series 1, if you know what I mean. But it depends what his plans were. I feel like he might have had a plan coming back that he wanted to do. So in that case, maybe it makes sense that he's written the majority of the first series. We'll see.
Yeah, I echo that as well, dude. Yeah, I think more so just to make sure that the narrative that's running through is absolutely bang on,
Yes. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. So the 3rd episode then, titled Boom, that one is going to be
back.
An interesting one, yeah. So we finally get Stephen Moffat back to write an episode of Doctor Who, which has been, to be honest with you, I think it's something that's been on the cards for a while. We've seen this rumour, haven't we, bubbling along literally for, I don't know, even when Jodie's era kicked in. I remember at least 2 or 3 episodes when you and I covered all the news and stuff, seeing stuff in, whatever paper or blog, whatever, that Stephen Moffat might be coming back to write for Doctor Who, but ultimately never happened. But now he is back. So I think part of that is due to the relationship that he has with Russell T Davies. I think the two of them are like thick as thieves when they get together and talk about Doctor Who and stuff. But the synopsis for this episode, and we haven't got this for all of them, but for Moffat's episode, the synopsis is caught in the middle of a devastating war on Castarian 3. The Doctor is trapped when he steps on a landmine. Can he save himself and Ruby, plus the entire planet, without moving?
It's such a Moffat thing.
It's such
a Moffat synopsis, that.
Yeah. Are you looking forward to this? Not just because it sounds like a very intriguing idea for an episode, but are you interested to see what Moffat's writing's going to be like since he last wrote for Who, God knows how many years ago?
Yes, I am. I'm very, very excited for Moffat to be back. He is the first to say when he, took his eye off the ball or struggled to get scripts finished or whatever. He's the first to call out his own faults, and people are quick to tell him. But I've always thought Moffat has a great brain. He's always coming up with brilliant ideas. I find him an exciting writer. I think he burnt out during Series 10. He said that himself, because he was just kind of pushed into carrying on making Doctor Who when really it sort of needed a break from it. I'm hoping that having had that break, he's going to come back with for want of a better word, an absolute banger, because I'm very excited for this. In fact, I'm trying to temper my excitement because I don't want to be disappointed, and I do feel like I'm getting overly excited for it, but I can't help it. I'm really, really pleased Moffat's back, and I'm really looking forward to this episode. I think the synopsis sounds really intriguing. It's so Moffat, that synopsis, but yeah, I am. I can't even hold you can tell from my voice, I can't even temper, because I don't want to be, I just got this horrible feeling that I'm going to be like, it wasn't as good as I expected, because I'm expecting something good from him, I have to be honest. So I'm trying to trying to temper my excitement, because I do think, when Moffat's on top form, he writes some absolutely brilliant stuff. I mean, the Gas Mask two-parter, Doctor Dances, and what's it called, The Empty Child, is still one of my favourite episodes of Doctor Who ever. Silence in the Library, I think, is a fantastic two-parter. Blink, he's got some absolute crackers under his belt, and I'm really hoping he's come back with another one. So I am almost too excited for this episode. I need to try and rein it back a bit, but no,
I read you, dude.
I'm looking forward to him coming back.
Same tease. It's and when Shooty was interviewed, not for a typical blog, but Games Radar Plus, they do like entertainment stuff now, but when he was interviewed about it, he said that this episode has become his favourite of this season.
Really?
He said it's become his favourite episode, although he hardly understood what was going on during filming. So that just slaps of Moffat to me, dude. Just absolutely bonkers. And then we'll see how it comes together in the edit and what we finally see. But that sounds like a very cool episode nonetheless. And it's good to see. It
sounds intriguing.
Moffat back. The next episode in the list is called 73 Yards. And we don't know anything about this one, really. We've had no official synopsis. We've had nothing. So we're not sure about that one. And then the same with the second one that Russell. So Russell's writing this middle block, which is this episode. And the next one, which is called Dot and Bubble. Again.
Oh, Dot and Bubble, yeah.
Yeah, no synopsis for this one. But Davis did say in an interview, when was this? In the Radio Times, he first conceived the idea for this one back in 2010. And he talked it through with Moffat, and however the concept was too expensive for the show back then, so he shelved it as one of those just sort of things to put back in the back of your head. So then he went on to explain that that episode had more visual effects than any other episode put together at the time, so you can see why it was shelved, just because it would have been way too pricey to get all that together. So fast forward to now, when we've got a bit of Disney Mickey Mouse money, and it's back on. So no details for these, dude, but it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen with that one, with those two.
I know, I was going to say, there's not much to go on, which is not a bad thing. We don't want to know too much, do we? But I do know that this episode 4, as Russell said, he's very excited for this one. It seems to be the one that Russell's almost the most excited for us to see. So that in itself intrigues me, and the fact that he's holding back, you know, a lot of details about it does make me think there could be something quite exciting in those stories. But yeah, it's nice not to know. I am wondering, you know, when I saw Russell, I went to see Russell do a talk, many years ago now, after he'd left Doctor Who though, and he was saying he would never come back. He was saying, you know, it's the question he was always asked, would you come back? And he said, no. He said, I think I've done everything I wanted to do on Doctor Who. He said, the only thing I never got round to doing was a Croton story. And the whole room went, ooh. So I'm thinking, you know, has he come back after all these years just to finally do that Croton story? Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be this one though, sadly, but you know, you never know.
You never know.
Maybe they couldn't visualize those brilliant Crotons until now. We should see. That would be great. I would love that actually, but I think it's unlikely.
That would be cool. Yeah. So in reference to the episode 73 Yards, which is the fourth one, in another interview, this was with Doctor Who magazine, Russell said that it was one of the greatest things that he's ever made in his life for that episode.
Really? So, maybe it's that one. I know. Yeah. Okay.
So that might be
it's a bold statement.
A bold one. Yeah. So let's hope it lives up to that. And and then the other one that we mentioned, which is the fifth one, Dot and Bubble. That's again in Doctor Who magazine, Russell said, is this Murray's greatest score? Better than Heaven Sent, better than I Am the Doctor, better than You Put the Devil in Me, better than... So that's going to have plenty of decent music in that one, I think. And also, another interesting little quirk, when Millie Gibson was interviewed for this one, she said that this episode looks very Black Mirror, and the infographics and stuff look something Charlie Brooker would have envisioned and stuff. So I think this one, Dot and Bubble, has the potential to be a bit of a strange, interesting one to get your head around potentially. And
I like the sound of that.
Yeah. And also Russell said on that one that it might have more visual effect shots than anything we've ever done on Doctor Who. So these two episodes, dude, in the middle, I think that this could be like a real... of something to put in the way of like any kind of mid-season slump that a lot of TV shows have from times. You know what I mean? Where you watch for an entire season and you have this kind of sort of U curve, if you like, where the intro and the first two episodes start really strong. The finale and everything is really strong and really cool, but then you potentially have these filler episodes in the middle. And you had this kind of slump. It sounds to me like we might have the opposite, dude. Like these two in the middle could be absolutely banging episodes. So we'll see on that one.
I hope so, mate, because obviously we've got a shorter episode run this season, haven't we? It's only 8 episodes. So we don't really want any sort of bad or mid episode. You know, they've all got to be, I think, a certain quality if we're only going to get 8. So yeah, it would. Hopefully they are of a standard, if you like.
Yes, yeah. And then the next one, so episode 6 is called Rogue, and this is a very, this is like an old period drama costume.
Is that the Bridgerton one?
The Bridgerton style one, yeah. So this has got, so this stars Jonathan Groff. He's guest starring in this one alongside these dudes. And anyone that doesn't know who Jonathan Groff is, you've probably seen him in some like crime series and stuff, but if you're a theatre fan, you'll know him in the original run of Hamilton. He played King George or King Edward, whatever. Very, very funny character and whatnot. He's very cool. So with this one and all that stuff, we're not really sure. Again, there's no official synopsis release for this one or anything like that, but it does. I don't know. I'm always in two minds about these historical sort of period drama-esque sort of things going on. It can normally go one of two ways. It can, that in experience tells us that when Doctor Who does this, they often take a historical factual thing and then insert some kind of alien thing into it. So, you know, or it turns out to be just a pure historical, who knows? But I don't know if I'm into this one compared to some of the other episodes that we've got details on, but what about you, dude?
Have you watched Bridgerton? Have you ever watched it?
Well, I've sat on the sofa while my wife has watched a bit of it.
Okay.
I've not actually watched it though.
No, I've never seen a single episode of it. I've got a neighbour who loves it. He used to say to me, "Oh, you must watch Bridgerton." And I'll say, "Well, what's it about?" He's like, "Oh, sex. It's all sex." I'm like, "Oh, no, you're all right." He thought it was the best thing since sliced bread. But I've never seen it, so I don't really know what the fuss is about. But I don't know. I like the look of it. It looks stylistic, this episode, but. Yeah, it's written by, is it somebody who wrote an episode of Loki?
Yeah, so Kate Herron, she directed the first season of Loki for Marvel.
Oh, she directed it, right?
Yeah, so that might be cool. And then Bryony Redman, she's written for Doctor Who before, and she's written for so a couple of really good people on this one actually in terms of writing and directing. So Kate Herron and Bryony Redman, very, very cool in terms of what they've done so far, but we'll see how they club together because there's like co-writing on this one.
Yeah, so I just wondered because Loki was very hit and miss for me. Like I thought it started off okay and I got really bored. This is series 1. I never finished series 2 actually. So I don't know. I can't judge it. I'm sure it's going to be nothing like Loki. So I'm not going into it thinking it's going to be anything like that. But they do seem to have given this one a bit of a push as well. I think, Space Babies, Devil Cord, and this episode seem to be the ones that we've seen most of or know most about. So they seem to be pushing this one a bit. Mm-hmm. We'll see. I think I agree with you. I feel a little bit lukewarm towards it for whatever reason. But maybe that's a good thing because it might surprise us.
Yeah, we'll see on that one. Yeah. It could be cool, though. Obviously, we're not going to write it off or anything, but it could be. Could be cool. And then after that, we've got the 2-parter finale, which is written by Russell T Davies, and that is The Legend of Ruby Sunday and Empire of Death. So, again, no official synopsis or anything like that released, but yeah. So Harry did his first sentence on this one, The Legend of Ruby Sunday. He's like, shot in the dark here, guys. I reckon this one will focus on Ruby.
You don't say.
You don't say. Yeah. So, just not much to go on with this one. So it's another interesting little snippet from Russell T Davies, but because he's been interviewed so much over the last year about this stuff, it's hard to pick out. But one of the interesting things, when he was interviewed by the Radio Times, he said that there were aspects of this story that he's been thinking about on and off for 40 to 50 years.
Oh.
So I think this might be a bit of a lifetime, as a lifelong Who fan, there could be bits and pieces in here that he's wanted to do since he was a wee nipper, which sounds interesting. And
maybe this is the Crotons one.
Oh, maybe.
Could it be? No.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's interesting. So he's had this little idea of bubbling away all this time, has he? That he's finally. What could that be?
Yeah, another one is so this is with Doctor Who magazine episode issue 584. He said, so they do this column, don't they, still, called Letter from the Showrunner. And he said in there that the first line of the script for this story says, INT, which is internal, I guess, coffee bar, USA, during the day, 1947. So how that sets up this story, who knows? I've no idea. It's set, this first bit's in the US. How that translates to and comes over to and comes back round to Ruby's character, who bloody knows at this point. But interesting little tidbits, dude. And then the final episode, Empire of Death.
What a title.
What a title, dude. Yeah.
Empire of Death.
And again, in the following episode, the following issue of Doctor Who magazine, 589, in that same column, he said that scenes 20 to 22 involved a vital object, which he was at the time deciding whether it should stay in the ops room or be moved to the chamber. So there's going to be something, a vital object, that's going to be under lock and key by the sound of it. Does that sound unit to you?
Very much unit. Yeah.
Very
unit.
Screams unit to me, dude. This could be a Kate Stewart, Lethbridge Stewart sort of scenario. Yeah.
Do we know which episode's got Mel in it? Because she's been heavily featured in the trailers and stuff. Which one's she in? Because you know the bit with her on the back of the scooter with Shooty and that. Any idea what episode that's from?
I don't know. She hasn't been. The cast list has been revealed for a few of them. Obviously, it's Shooty and Millie Gibson. They're on every episode, but the other sort of support casting members. So there's quite a few for the episode Boom, but no. She's not on those ones. And then, is she in? She wouldn't be in The Devil's Cord, would she? Would she be in that one? Interestingly, in The Devil's Cord, Murray Gold's in it.
Crammed quite a lot in there.
Yeah, Murray Gold stars in that as himself. Apparently.
Yeah, I think he's making a little cameo.
Yeah. But no, dude, she's not
listed in the Radio Times. Yeah, Murray Gold as himself.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Wonder where she fits in then.
Yeah. Old Mel Bush. So that's the rundown of the upcoming series to look forward to. On one hand, we know very little. On the other hand, we've got some very interesting little tidbits that have been teased out to us via various interviews and columns and whatnot. So, all sounds so far, dude, pretty sweet, I must say.
Which of those episodes would you say you're most excited for from what we've got there?
I think I'm excited. Well, 3 of them stand out for me that I'm really looking forward to. The first one is Boom, the Moffat episode.
Yeah.
The second one is the finale. I'll class those 2 as one. So the finale, Legend of Ruby Sunday and Empire of Death. And then the other one that intrigues me is this Dot and Bubble episode. Just because it sounds, and this is going to sound really weird, but it sounds very un-Doctor Who-y. Because the details that have been released so far have mentioned that it's got, more visual effect shots than anything else. It's very Black Mirror. So I think that one's got the potential to be a standout, as in potentially scary, creepy, all those things, and very thought-provoking from that aspect. So I'm really looking forward to that one, just because it sounds something completely different and fresh. So yeah, those ones I'm most looking forward to. What about you, dude?
Actually, sorry to be boring, but I actually kind of agree with you. Those are the 3 I would pick as well. Boom because of Moffat, the final obviously, because I feel like there's going to be some sort of mystery arc around Ruby. And yeah, when you said about Black Mirror and stuff, that's the kind of thing I love to see Doctor Who do. So if it was a sort of a cross between Black Mirror and Inside Number 9, that sort of weird sort of type of episode, I'm all down for that. So I think those are the 3 that intrigue me. The title of, is it 73 Yards? Is that what it's called?
Yes. Yeah.
That intrigues me. Yeah. So yeah, I think I'm pretty much the same as you are on that. Yeah. But in terms of so that's the episodes I'm looking forward to. But in terms of the actual series itself, what are you most excited for? So I'm obviously excited for Shooty. I'm excited for the chemistry between Shooty and Millie, which we saw in the Church of Ruby Road, because it feels like they've got great chemistry. I'm looking forward to fun. I think Russell is normally pretty good at delivering fun, freshness. Looking forward to Murray being back. Looking forward to hearing Murray back and seeing what he can bring, because Murray, I really love Murray's stuff, as you know. He did get a bit stale during certain eras of Doctor Who. He started doing the same thing. I want to see what he's going to bring to the table. And yeah, they're the sort of the main bullet points that I'm sort of looking forward to going forward in this series. And obviously the production values look great as well. So yeah, see what they bring. But anything you're particularly looking forward to seeing in this first series, mate?
So I think, like you, I'm interested to see where Murray's music's going to go. I think the stuff that we heard in the Christmas special is not indicative of what this season's going to deliver from him. I honestly think we're in for some really cool new themes from him and some new stuff. I don't think it's going to be in the same style as when he was on for the first 5, 6 seasons, 7, whatever it was, where we had some cracking bits from him. but they felt like more kind of, you know, things like I Am the Doctor and, you know, Vale Dachum and those big epic kind of things, and This Is Gallifrey, you know, those big epic things. I don't think we're going to see those sort of things come back, but I do think we will have some really cool, some motifs that will pop up every now and then, because we haven't spoken about the baddie, have we, in this season? You know, the what's the baddie called? She's a big musical style Disney villain. Maestro, yeah.
Played by Jinx Monsoon.
Jinx Monsoon, yes. So I'm pretty sure we're going to have some real sinister, quirky music that Murray's going to work up for something like that character. Whenever they come on screen, we're going to see that sort of thing. And maybe, it's hard to say, because in previous seasons, all the big characters have had their own little theme, haven't they? Like we've got Rose's theme, Martha's theme, Donna's. So it'll be interesting if Millie gets her own theme and Shooty gets his one and that sort of thing. I don't think so somehow. I honestly think like they're going to shift more to just having music that empowers the episodes and the stories rather than the characters. But we might get some of that stuff. But anyway, I think Murray's going to have some cool stuff. It'll just be a bit different to what we've seen before. And then the other thing that intrigues me is how Russell will handle this, because it's not a reboot, is it? In terms of like, this is not going back to Doctor number 1. This is not a Hartnell replacement. This is not the first Doctor, but it does feel like in a lot of ways it is a bit of a soft reboot for the show. So I'm really interested to see how Russell sets up this new era, not just this first season. So I'm hoping for, dare I say it, a little bit of Moffat going on here. You know, in the past where we've said that, you know, Moffat tends to have these kind of weird story-long arcs that sometimes pan out, sometimes don't, sometimes affect how certain episodes are played out and whatnot. But I honestly think that might be cool with this, because when, you know, I feel like Doctor Who is now turning a corner a little bit, and because it's going to have such a massive increase in audience numbers now and all that stuff, I feel like this is the start of a much bigger era of the show. So I think it'll be interesting to see how Russell has set up this new era as a whole, not just, you know, because I think Ruby's probably going to be the focus point of the story for this first season.
Yeah,
because
I think so.
We've already had that big mystery drop in the Christmas special with who deserted Ruby at the church, who left her. So that's going to play out, I think, through this. And then we've got, you know, even like one of the finale episodes that is all about Ruby, seemingly. So I think she's going to be pretty much the focus point for it. But then how do you then set up what's going to come after that? How do you set up the big thing, you know, that's going to be Shooty's era? So I don't know. I'm interested in a couple of things, dude. More than anything, I think it's just going to be cool to see just, you know, I was going to say how fandom, you know, reacts and talks about it, how the nicer side of fandom sort of interacts. And I know our Discord server is going to be full of lots of different chat and opinion stuff, which is really cool. So that's going to be good. So yeah, I think we've got some very cool stuff to look forward to. Is there anything that you're not looking forward to? Is there anything that you've seen so far or read so far and you've got, that's not really sitting right with me, or I'm not looking forward to that?
I think I'm hoping it's not going to sort of sledgehammer too much of sort of politics and stuff. I mean, I'm all for that being in Doctor Who. It's, you know, it's always been there. But I think one thing, you know, during the Chibnall era, there was a lot of sort of what's the word I'm looking for, mate? Because I don't want to say woke, because that's not the right definition of it. But there was a lot of political stuff and stuff being sort of told to us, and we said, you know, Russell's can put that in, but he's probably going to write it in a more narrative way, so it doesn't feel so crowbarred in. So I'm hoping that's the case. I think that's the only thing that worries me, that it's yeah, I don't want to sort of I want a bit more escapism in this series, you know. And if there are things that Russell wants to get off his chest and put into those stories, then fine. But I hope it's not sort of, you know, I don't want the Doctor turning and looking at the camera like Jodie did and lecturing us about, you know, the environment. You know, yes, put it in if you want, but I hope it will be written in a more subtle way if we're going to have a lot of that in there. Because, I mean, there's no doubt about it. Russell is definitely, you know, he's got a few more years under his belt. He's a different person. We all change over time. This is very much a different RTD than we had back in, you know, 2005 when he brought the show back. He's, you know, things have changed. So yeah, there's a few little worrying niggles there with Russell's writing. I think, you know, he has come across as a little bit arrogant in certain interviews when he was saying that, you know, no producer would dare say no to him about any ideas, and that worries me because sometimes you need people to say no to you, like when the Doctor was killing all the what was the, you know, the Christmas special with Donna, where she's like, Doctor, you can stop now. Sometimes you need somebody there to say that's not a good idea. And I think the whole Davros thing, when he, you know, during the Children Need thing, I think someone should have said to him, well, you know, because that all kicked off. I don't know. there are little worries there with Russell in terms of what he might want to put into the stories and how he handles it. But I have enough faith in him he's a good writer. He's you know, I think he hopefully can sail the ship smoothly through. But that's the only sort of little worries really I've got. Everything else I think is looking good. It is feeling like a fresh show. I mean, I have had wobbles over the last couple of months where I felt like, oh, you know, the Doctor's very energetic and does Shooty feel like the Doctor because this feels like a totally different character. I've had wobbles because it does feel different. Russell has said this is like a new show. It's called Series 1. We've had the whole bi-generation, so a lot of people are saying it's like a new character. It's like a new, you know, so is it the Doctor still? You know, I have had those thoughts floating around my head during the last sort of couple of months, but I think I'm sort of at peace with all that, you know. I think I have just got to accept it's 60 years old, this program. It has to evolve and change and move on. So any sort of little worries that I've got, that does Shooty feel like the Doctor, or is it Shooty playing himself, you know, I'm just going to go with it and see where we go with this series. I'm going to try not to get too hung up on him being a very different take on the Doctor, if you like, because if it works for me, it works. You know, if I feel like, you know, for example, you wouldn't see William Hartnell's Doctor dancing in a club. You just wouldn't see that. So in that sense, he feels very different. But I think maybe I just need to sort of go with the flow a bit. Mm-hmm. You know, this is a new Doctor. He left all the baggage with the 14th Doctor to undo all that baggage. He's, you know, he's rejuvenated and he's free. He says it in the trade, doesn't he? I'm free. I don't have a job. I don't have He's a free man to go off and start living his life again. So I'm sort of seeing it from that angle, if you like. So I think all those little sort of, there are little niggles. They're still there in the back of my mind as a Doctor Who fan that likes to dissect every little thing about the character in the show. Those niggles are all there, but I'm just pushing them to the back and saying, let's have some fun, Russell. Please just deliver us 8 episodes of fun and freshness. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, absolutely the same.
Does that make sense? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely, dude. And I absolutely concur that when you said that you're just after a bit of escapism, you don't want to be bogged down with political talk and all that stuff. I completely see that, dude. I'm hoping that's not going to be too much sort of in your face and whatnot. I think there's always a need for writers and so on to have like metaphorical things to educate on what's going on in the world. I don't want to shove it in your face, but maybe sort of allegorical or use metaphors, whatever. I think we're always going to have that. But like you said, in the Chibnall era, it was just very much, it was almost, it was sort of borderline preachy a little bit a couple of times.
It was, I'm afraid.
Yeah. So I hope we don't go through that. So just a couple of things to finish up with them. The first one is we had some funny little rumours some interesting rumours that has been kicking around in the run-up to season 1. The first one being that Billie Piper said that she wanted to come back as Rose Tyler for this new season, which is interesting. And at some point she said, if the circumstances and the story were right, obviously I think a lot of actors say that when they're asked, but she did say that she was willing to get Rose back in action and do that. So that could be fun. Another one was a lot of newspapers latched onto this thing that I think Russell alluded to a lot in the early days when he was announced to be back as showrunner. And this was this concept of finally having some more spin-offs for the show.
What has happened to the spin? I keep forgetting they're a thing.
Yeah. So apparently,
where are they?
Well, apparently, according to rumours, the spin-offs. Now, this could hold some water because you were saying that you wanted the show to feel fresh and new and all that stuff, and you just had to potentially get your head around it and so on. We haven't had any mention in any of these episodes of Cybermen, Daleks, Centaurans, anything like that. It's all new, fresh stuff. So apparently the rumour is that the spin-offs will focus on Cybermen, Sea Devils, Daleks and whatnot, Weeping Angels. And it's basically around what they're up to and what they're doing and their plans and that sort of thing while the Doctor is not around. So the spin-offs could potentially have those aliens and monsters and what in it. They just won't feature in the main show in this season anyway. So that's an interesting. And then Katie Manning, in an interview that she did, she hinted that a lot of people would be returning and aliens would be returning, but obviously they're not going to be in this season. So, she was kind of saying that there's other stuff happening. So that again leads into the whole, are we going to see spin-offs with Ace, with Mel, all those sorts. So that could hold some water, dude. The spin-offs focusing more on that stuff and leave the main show to explore new things potentially.
I actually like the sound of that. I really like the sound of that. Actually, the more you talk about it, because that makes sense, doesn't it? Like giving the show a rest from the Daleks, which we have seen far too much of, and the Cybermen and stuff, but having their own spin-off, so they're kind of doing their own thing. Yeah, that actually works quite well, I think. And maybe they could set it. You were saying it all happens when the Doctor's not around, so this could be, well, he's got his foot on that landmine, so maybe Moffat's seen an opportunity here. He's like, yeah, we'll keep the Doctor with his foot on that landmine, and then we can have all this stuff happening while he's not around. But no, seriously, I think that does sound like quite a good plan, actually. I do like the sound of it.
Yeah. And then just very quickly, Jonathan Groff, who I mentioned, is going to be in the episode Rogue. The rumour is that he has been recast as Captain Jack Harkness. Of course, that is rumour. I think if that was to come to fruition, there could be a certain person with the initials JB that would go absolutely just not happy at all if that was the case, because I remember a few years ago he campaigned heavily. I think he even got on a plane, right? Came and had a meeting with Chibbers and whoever else to campaign to get Captain Jack back in the series. So I don't think he would be very happy at all, but that is one rumour.
Yeah, I've heard this floating around for a while, actually. And don't forget, he wasn't that long ago. He was in the show. He was in the Jodie era, wasn't he? Came back for the episode and then in some weird editing kind of just vanished about 10 minutes before the episode ended. Do you remember that? You never sort of saw him leave or goodbye. He just kind of left the episode, which was a bit weird. Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm kind of hoping that isn't true. I think I will always associate Barrowman with that part. And I think it would be better off if it's problematic just not to use that character. And I said the same about Davros. If the character is now considered problematic or the actor is considered problematic, just don't use them. I don't think it should be recast, personally.
Yeah, same.
Because I just think John Barrowman is Captain Jack. You know. I personally, I'm not sure. If it is true, and someone else is playing the character and they play it well, and I think, okay, they've totally owned the role, then I'll say so. I'll say, okay, take it back. They were really good as Captain Jack. But personally, I just think, no, I don't know. I've heard that rumour a lot, mate. I'm just hoping that is just rumour. I don't think it's a good idea. But unless it's really good when it hits the screen, then I'll say so. But no, don't think it's a good idea.
Same.
Same?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Whatever your feelings on John Barrowman as a person and past actions or non-actions, whatever you want to read into. I think he is Captain Jack. He absolutely just owns that part. It's one of those things where an actor just absolutely owns it.
Absolutely, and he loves that part, doesn't he? I did see him tweet fairly recently. He said, "Do you ever get off the phone to a friend knowing you'll never speak to them again?" And I thought, oh dear, that could be Russell on the other end saying, John, I'm just letting you know we've recast the part. I mean, I'm reading into stuff here. This is like, this is probably not the case, but he would be heartbroken, wouldn't he? So I
think so.
Yeah, just leave it. Yeah, it's just not worth going down that rabbit hole, I don't think, but we'll see.
We'll see on that one.
We'll see what happens there. Yeah, I hope it's a different character.
Same, yeah. And then lastly, Varada Sethu has been announced as an upcoming companion later on. She could be appearing in this season, but just as a different character. So whether that is a thing or not, who knows? But some interesting little rumours, dude, there. Whether there be, it's one of those things, we could talk about those for ages, and try and join the dots and are they real or not or whatever. Normally it's a case of, on the surface you put 2 and 2 together, but ultimately it come up with 5. So we'll see what happens with those rumours. But some interesting little things. And then lastly, I just want to finish up on just a few reviews that have landed already. So there are no spoilers in these at all. These are just top level, just a bunch of reviews where some people, these are from the US, by the way. And so this is from Will Salmon over at Games Radar Plus. Again, he says, Gatwa and Gibson are brilliant, and Jinx Monsoon crackles with malevolent energy in a fast-paced double bill that opens up the new season. We're not so sure about those space babies, though. The Guardian praised Jinx Monsoon's new villain character, writing Monsoon's wicked witch flamboyance gives it a menacing edge. And then over at comicbook.com, Christian Hoffer says Shooty Gatwa and Millie Gibson bring a sense of joy and whimsy to the long-running sci-fi series. Michael Boyle over at Slash Film says, although just 2 episodes in, the new Doctor Who season has already proven itself to be a bold, lively, kind-hearted show. It's still cheesy and awkward at times, but that energy and excitement goes a long way. Variety says it's Gatwa's star turn that elevates the season. With his megawatt smile and colourful costumes, he dives into the role, delivering a refreshing dynamism that makes the season a uniquely mesmerising watch. And lastly, over at Cinema Blend, Gatwa is an absolute delight to watch on screen, and his personality shines as bright as the best Doctor. He certainly made me realise I've waited on a Doctor like him for a long time, and I'm glad he's finally here. So, some pretty good results from the reviews.
Promising.
Yeah, so far, which is good. Certainly no disaster stories like, oh my God, don't stay up late to watch, Doctor Who, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's all cool, dude. So overall then, mate, I think it's fair to say that you and I are definitely looking forward to this one. And we'll just see how some of these little niggles might play out. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's spot on, mate. And I just absolutely love it when we have new Doctor Who episodes to review. I mean, good or bad, it's just always fun to talk through. As I said, that's what us Doctor Who fans love to do, is to watch something and then discuss it for hours on end, for not just days afterwards, but for years to come. So yes, I am excited to have some new episodes to review for the next couple of weeks, mate. Definitely.
Yes, indeedy. And so just to confirm what's going on then, Who fans, you probably know this already, but just to make sure you're in the know. So here in the UK, the episodes will land at midnight on Friday. So Friday the 10th, which is today, will land tonight at midnight, the first 2 episodes. Then it will presumably stay on iPlayer just after that, so you can dip in and watch it whenever you want. If you haven't got iPlayer, or you haven't got access to iPlayer, it will still go out on BBC One on Saturday evenings. I haven't got the time in front of me, but it will go out at some point on Saturday evening. Just check the time on your TV guide, if you've got Sky, whatever, and you'll find it on there. So in the UK, midnight on Friday, available on iPlayer. But then if you want to watch it on your usual Virgin TV or Sky, whatever you've got, Freeview. It will go out on BBC One on a Saturday evening after that. In the US, it will go out on... it will be 4 p.m. this afternoon, Pacific time, or 7 p.m. Eastern time. So you guys will get it quite a few hours. Actually, no, because of the time difference, it's the same. So yeah, you'll get it in the afternoon. You're like 5-6 hours behind us, so it doesn't really matter. But anyway, you guys will get it in the afternoon, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, and then it will be released every Friday at the same time up until the rest of the series, which finishes on June 22nd. So there are your times to dive in, to get your calendars locked in. If you've got any plans, if your better half or if any family members are like, oh, we've got plans, it's now your time to turn around and say, no, we don't, because I shall be watching Doctor Who at this time. So get your priorities in order. So, dude, we've chatted loads. We didn't even do the proper intro for all that stuff. So we were going to do our last review of McCoy's episode, a story on this episode, which was The Curse of Fenric. So in a kind of nice, sort of whimsical way, and makes me smile a lot, McCoy's got a stay of execution. We're not going to do The Curse of Fenric for at least another 7-8 weeks now, which is cool. So we were going to do that.
But that'd be a good one to come back on, though. I was thinking that when you said it, there'll be a cracking story to review once this series is over with. Yeah, indeed.
Yeah. So that was quite a popular one, actually. When I put the socials out to ask for your guys' thoughts on that one, we had loads in on Facebook and Twitter. So don't worry, I'll save them all, and when we get round to that review, I'll dig those out. It's all good. So Adam and I will be reviewing each of these episodes as they go out each week. So keep an eye on the socials, because we'll be asking for your thoughts and everything as always. So make sure that you are following or subscribing to the Big Blue Box. You can do that wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you do that as we put a new episode out every Friday. And for the next 7-8 weeks, we'll be giving you our thoughts and reviews on the new episodes from season 1. So make sure you don't miss those. And also, in between that, we'll also have the round table. So we'll get the writers together, get their thoughts on it as well. And we'll have a good old chinwag on Doctor Who. So wherever you get your podcasts, do that. You can also listen for free over on the website, which is bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. And you can see all the reviews, and I'm pretty sure our writers will put some stuff out throughout the season as well with their thoughts on things. And also, I will play our music in a minute, I'm sure, but also don't forget to remember to check out my co-host channel over on YouTube. It is, of course, The Geek's Handbag.
I always imagine Nat over your shoulder rolling her eyes every time you say that. Terrible grammar. Terrible. Yeah, do check out my channel, The Geek's Handbag, also on all the socials.
Indeedy, yes. And right now, dude, I think we should wrap it there for episode 397.
Alrighty.
Thank you so much for listening to episode 397 and our thoughts in the run-up to the brand new season of Doctor Who landing in a matter of hours, which is exciting. So, as I said just a minute ago, make sure you're following and subscribing so you won't miss our thoughts and reviews on that. Plus, just keep an eye on the socials as well. There's links to that from the website, or just do a search for the Big Blue Box. You'll find us on there. We ask for your thoughts and your score out of 10 each week, and we read them out on the show. So keep an eye out for that. So, dude, until next time when we review the first couple of episodes, it's been cool to chat all things shooty and the new era.
It has, mate. Yeah, it's been really good to talk through, actually. It's got me even more excited, to be honest with you, just talking through what we can expect. Yeah, bring it on.
Bring it on, indeedy. So enjoy Shooty's era, enjoy all that stuff, and we'll chat to you over the socials and the Discord very soon. So until then, my name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember,
Aaaaaaaallons-y.